What's up, everybody? This is Rich with Lifetime Shred, and today I'm talking about the Hyperlite Murray Pro Model Wakeboard, or as I like to think about it, the ultimate dad board. So what's a dad board anyway? Well, let's define a dad board first, and it could be a mom board too. It's for the rider that's probably been riding for 10, 20, 30 years and wants a board that's high performance, but probably also a little bit forgiving and also maybe a little bit reminiscent of the boards they've ridden in the past. And I think the Murray is exactly this kind of board. I personally love this board. I've been riding the Murray since 2018. I had a 2017 that I rode 18 and 19. I rode this white one, which is the 2020 for 2020, 2021. Then I jumped on the black and blue one, and that was what I rode in 2022 and part of 2023. Then partway through last season, the 2023 season, I was able to scoop up the limited edition bug board graphic, and that's been the board I'm on right now. And all I could say, love the Murray board, and really that's what this video is all about. Getting into why is it so good? Why does it qualify as the ultimate dad board? First off, I would call out that this board is a traditional type construction. It's a foam core. So Hyperlite calls it the BioLite foam core. I just think of this, it's just a good foam, it's lightweight. And this is important because there are boards that have other materials in them. Maybe it's a little bit of wood or there's carbon in them. If we think about the history of wakeboard construction going back in the day, I mean, it really came from foam. I know back in the day there's a little bit of honeycomb construction too, but these boards are just straightforward. They work, foam core, it's kind of what you expect. Also, the rocker of the board, it's a subtle 3-stage. So it does have a little bit of that flat in the middle, and then it rises out into the 3-stage on the ends, but it's subtle, so it's kind of a little bit more gradual. Like you'll see an abrupt 3-stage where it's just flat, and then it literally looks like there's a kink in the board. And as you can see in the pictures that I'm showing, this does have a little bit of that, but it's a little more subtle. This means this board's gonna have really solid pop off the wake, which I 100% agree with. I think this board pop's great, but it's also going to be a little bit more predictable than a full-on abrupt 3-stage. The board I rode before this is going all the way back to 2017, was the Ronix Code 22, and before that I rode the Ronix 1. Those were more abrupt, and they did pop maybe just slightly harder than the Murray. It was much harder to predict what that pop was like. So subtle 3-stage, still tons of pop, but just a little bit of leniency, a little bit of dad qualities. Another feature about this board that I love is the variable edge. So this board in the middle, kind of like between the bindings, it actually has a rolled edge versus out from the bindings to the tip and tail. It's your traditional sharp edge on the board. And what this does is it just loosens up the middle of the board a little bit. So if you want to do like a butter on the wake, like I love doing these like backside lips or front board butters on the wake all the time, so fun. Also, if you come down on a landing where you're about to catch an edge, it's not going to catch as easily. I will say when you do engage the edge, you think about your boards mostly out of the water, it's kind of like that back third that's in the water. That part of the edge is still sharp, so it's not slippery on the water or anything like that, but just a little bit more forgiving. And again, ultimate dad board. Another feature like this. So the Murray on the base is pretty simple. You don't see any weird channels or any divots or textures to the base. It's just pretty much straight up, but it does have a center spine. What the center spine does is when you come down on a landing on the water, if you land flat, it makes a clap noise like this. Versus if I bend my hand a little bit like that, it's not as loud, right? So what happens is the water disperses because it's almost like a subtle point hitting the water versus a flat surface. It disperses to the side. And what this is going to do is two things in my experience. You come down, you land, it's just a little bit less hard of a landing. And I actually think it's just like a little bit smoother of a glide because you never get that pancake experience that you would get with a fully flat base. That said, the rest of the base is super simple, so you're not getting any other weird speed up or drag based on how you're edging. Like it's very predictable when you land or edge with this board. And I love all that. Fin-wise, 0.8 fins on this. Again, getting in that area of the ultimate dad board. The 0.8 fin just gives you a little bit of leniency where it's going to be a little less hooky and a little, you can just break free. Like you always see Murray do those like slide outs around the turn where he just glides on the glass sideways. I mean, part of that's that variable edge, but part of it's not having massive fins that could catch. So I find the tracking on this board to be very accurate and predictable, but it doesn't feel like I'm glued into the track. I can break free if I want to do like a butter or slide out, or even like go behind my back and just butter backwards. Like, it's all on the table here, but you can also edge hard and very precisely if you want to as well. Another thing to love about the Murray board that makes it dad friendly is it's really not that expensive. You know, you can pick up the Murray brand new. I believe it's $430 retail right now, but if you look around for last year's boards, you can get them for much less as well. In terms of the durability of the board, holds up great. I mean, I've got some little scratches and stuff from board racks and things, but for me personally, I can afford to get a new board probably every other season, so that's what I do. For a typical season, I would say I ride boat about 35 to 40 days a year, and I ride 2 sets pretty much every time I go. So in 2 seasons, I'm putting in around 150 sets on the board before I replace it. And even though these boards are foam, I do feel like when you get out on a fresh one, it just is a little bit stiffer and a little bit poppier off the wake. So I think even a normal foam core, they do kind of probably have like micro fractures that wear them out and soften them out, and they just get a little soggy over time. But even that said, I would still ride like this white one over here that I had 2 full seasons on that, you know, I turned into my friend board. You know, I put some open toe bindings on it, and I would have no problem having a great time on that. Another thing I'd say about this board too is it's really for all ability levels. You know, I would totally throw a beginner on this board, and I do. I have my board that I ride. I have my old one that I have open toe bindings on, which is my adult friend board. My wife rides the Prism, which is the same exact board. And then I also have a Murray Jr. ready to go for when my kids are ready, or if we have any friends out with young kids that want to go wakeboarding. So obviously I'm an advocate for this board. I think you could ride it as a beginner. You could ride it at my intermediate advanced level. But then you also see riders on the Hyperlite team like JB O'Neill. When he's on the boat, he's riding the Murray. You know, he could be riding any board in that lineup, and this is the one that he chooses. Another great thing about this board too is the sizing. So I ride the 144. I'm about 5'11", and I usually weigh from 170 to 180 pounds depending on the time of the year. So, you know, I find the 144 to be an excellent size. I've never tried the 150. Another great feature about this board is it's Sean Murray's board. I mean, I think, you know, in terms of like a dad board feature, a board represented by one of the, you know, best pros in the history of wakeboarding, not only as a rider, but also just as a representative of the sport. Can't go wrong there. Love supporting Sean Murray and everything he does, and, you know, and meeting him in person at the boat show here, and then also taking a lesson with him at OWC a few years ago. He's just an amazing guy, and I like supporting him, and that Hyperlite supports him and has supported him for a very long time as well. If I had to change anything about this board, what would it be? I think it'd be interesting to see a loaded core version of this board. It probably gets away from like the concept of the ultimate dad board, because then you're getting into a much more expensive board. But I would just like to ride it and see what it's like. Otherwise, I can't say there's anything else I'd really want to change. All the features I've listed out, from the variable edge, love that thing. The spine in the middle for the landings, I love that. I just really think the board's an amazing design. Sean Murray and Greg Nelson, hats off to you guys for doing a great job in creating a board that I think is going to stand the test of time. I hope you keep it in the line for a long time. Like, I know it's been in there, this shape. I think 2016 was the first year of this shape. Yeah, don't get rid of it, keep it. One important quality of this board I do want to call out is this is a boat board. I have actually seen people riding these at the cable park before, but there's 2 things that I would be cautious about by riding this at the cable. A, this does not have a slider base, so if you are hitting features, you are going to wear out the base on this board rather quickly because it's just going to scrape off. And then 2, the center spine on this board isn't the best for features, because if you think about it, you're on a box or something, you want to be flat on there so that you're not getting any weird rockering toe to heel that might feel like you're going to fall off the feature. So for that reason, I would not suggest riding this on the cable if at all possible. So with that, I'm going to sign off and stick to my opinion. The Sean Murray Pro Hyperlite Wakeboard is the ultimate dad board, but really it's the ultimate everyone board. And I would highly suggest, if you're looking for a board to ride and you don't know what to ride this season behind the boat, that this would be a great option. And with that, I bid you adieu. Bye.